Hello, Berkeley friends and neighbors. Welcome to the Berkeley Relief Hour, contributed and produced by the Bay Area Book Festival. I'm Sherilyn Parsons, the founder and director of the festival. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's ahead in the coming hour. We have interviews with local authors such as Michael Chabon, Michael Pollan, T.J. Stiles, Robert Hass, who will read a couple of poems, and many others. We're really lucky in the city of Berkeley to have so many literary treasures in town. We also have some interviews with local independent bookstores and what else? Children's authors reading stories and giving advice on how best to read to your kids when they're all locked up at home. So there's a lot of good stuff ahead. I just want to fill you in a bit if you're not familiar with what the Berkeley Relief Fund is. The city of Berkeley has very generously allocated $3 million from its own budget to help support arts organizations, small businesses, and tenants who are struggling in the city. And concurrent with that, they've launched a fundraising drive, the Berkeley Relief Fund, where people can augment that amount of money because it only goes so far, and as you know, the needs are really quite deep right now. So we are asking you to consider contributing. All donations are tax deductible. If you go online to berkeleyrelieffund.org, you will see how to donate. It's being managed by the East Bay Community Foundation, and every dollar will be going to the arts organizations and the small businesses and the tenants who really, really need your support. So with that, I'm looking at my notes taped up to my phone, which is jerry-rigged on top of some chairs. Everything is just we're all like what, putting life together by duct tape and love right now. That's certainly what we're doing. And that actually brings me to this hour of videos, likewise put together a little bit by duct tape and love. The production values are not going to be nearly what you're going to see in our upcoming book festival programs, or what you see elsewhere, but we threw this together really quickly, and the writers have contributed time. So it's a homespun, homemade thing, and I hope that you enjoy it. So I think that's it. I think we're ready to go and enjoy this hour. And if you are inspired, I really hope you are, please contribute.
Hi, I'm Berkeley Mayor Jesse Edegin. I just want to express my thanks to the Berkeley Book Festival, say how sad I am that we're not going to have the book festival in downtown Berkeley this May. For the past 5 years, the book festival has brought together amazing, world-renowned authors and thousands of people from throughout the Bay Area to take part in our incredible literary scene here in the Bay Area. And, while the book festival is not happening, I want to encourage you all to not only support the book festival, but also to support the Berkeley Relief Fund, which is going to support our small businesses and arts organizations that are struggling during this very difficult time. And I want to express my appreciation to Sherilyn Parsons for her stewardship of the book festival and being a great partner with the city of Berkeley in promoting the Berkeley Relief Fund. Please go to berkeleyrelieffund.org to donate today to support your small, locally owned businesses, arts organizations, and residential tenants who are struggling during this time. Every dollar that you give will be matched by contributions from the city of Berkeley to help as many people as possible. While we are struggling during this crisis right now, we will get through it and we'll be stronger as a community. So I encourage you to go to berkeleyrelieffund.org to donate today. And if you go to the City of Berkeley's website, cityofberkeley.info/coronavirus, there's information about how to apply for funding if you are a small business, an arts organization, or a tenant needing assistance. So we look forward to having the book festival once again in downtown Berkeley. We thank the book festival for their partnership. We encourage you all to read while you're staying at home and sheltering in place. And together we will get through this as a community. And thank you once again to the Bay Area Book Festival.
Berkeley is a very dear place to me and to 𝐸𝑎𝑟𝑡ℎ. We've been living here for 22 years, almost 23 now. And, we care so much about this community. I think one of the primary ways we've tried to show our support over the years has been by supporting the Berkeley Public Library, by participating in all kinds of fundraising events they've done over the years. And I've written statements when there have been ballot measures to raise funds for the library. I've written public statements in support of those. We try to be good neighbors in every way that we can. Small businesses, such as our, helped by the Berkeley Relief Fund, small businesses, and in some ways I would almost say, and in particular restaurants, like locally owned restaurants, they're the heart and soul of this community. I mean, people in Berkeley, we take our food very seriously. We are proud of our restaurant culture that we have here. We're proud of the innovation. We're proud of the fact that it is so locally owned. And then in general, I'm always very proud of the fact that Berkeley has so many small businesses still. And even in this era, you go almost anywhere else in the country, and any shopping district, any commercial area of almost anywhere you go, you see exactly the same range of nationally or internationally owned and franchised stores. When I go back, I grew up in Pittsburgh. I lived in Pittsburgh for a long time. It was such a distinctive mom and pop store culture there when I was growing up. And now when I go back, it's just, the same 15 different stores that you see everywhere. But Berkeley's still not like that. We're still holdouts in many ways. And when that goes, then a part of Berkeley will go too. I think it's really important, not just the restaurants, all the small businesses of Berkeley, to try to hold on to that special, unique flavor that Berkeley still has in spite of everything.
But thanks for that in the past, and for being such a good citizen, and for helping us encourage people to support the Berkeley Relief Fund.
Yeah, it's so important. I think it's such an amazing opportunity we have with this doubling with the matching funds to really just make a strong impact. And, I think it gives you hope. What gives me hope more than anything else right now is the way that our state, we took it seriously from the beginning. All due credit to the leadership of the state. And, you can flatten the curve and you can have an impact. You can make a difference. If you identify the potential problems, if you identify the places where things could go wrong and you act quickly to shore those up. And so for me, the relief fund is that kind of a thing. It's identifying where the local likely casualties mean, and I don't necessarily mean health casualties. I mean things like small businesses, arts programs, things that are the heart and soul of a community, that we tend to take for granted. We should take them for granted because that's how life is. You always think there are going to be great restaurants and amazing cultural things going on in Berkeley, and something like this to suddenly make you see just how fragile they are and how thin that thread is, it can be, and to be able to take steps this way and have the generosity of sponsors who are willing to match this and help us match it, and the rapid action taken by our local government is really encouraging.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And I mean, a terrible situation, but a silver lining is just really not taking each other for granted, and
Absolutely.
those businesses and the arts organizations and our leadership. So I think this is a time of real appreciation and communities coming together. So thank you so much for what you do and for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Cheryl. My pleasure.
Okay, take care.
So in this last week that we've been together in the house, I've been reading poets that I love and bringing up poems that I'm deeply fed by. Always Emily Dickinson and 𝑊𝑒'𝑟𝑒 Mandelstam that I found in the Modern European Poetry book edited by Willis Barnstone, and Gennady Aigyi, a Chuvash poet, edited by Peter France, and then Paul Celan's last poems, translated by Catherine Washburn and Margaret Gilman. And I thought I'd read a Paul Celan poem from this collection. It is untitled. Dream-driven on the circular track, swollen, two masks for one, the dust of planets in hollowed eyes, night blind, day blind, world blind. The poppy capsule within you goes down somewhere, silences a fellow star. The swimming domain of sorrow records another shadow. It all does you good. The heartstone thrusts through its fan, no cooling at all. It all does you good. You sail, smolder, and die down. Swarm of eyes pass the straits. A blood clot enters the track. Swarms of earth encourage you. All the weather in the universe is harvesting. Paul Celan. And Camille Dungy wrote a book of sonnets in her What to Eat, What to Drink, What to Leave for Poison. And I taught this book recently, and I thought I'd read one of these sonnets. Wonderful book dedicated to her ancestral people. Long time gone, long time yet to come. Where jasmine, lemon, sweets, wind and salt slicks the breeze, where sage spices sun drench there, where the fragrant cloud nest drives the pump beat of my blood, I am home. Long time gone, and don't know when I'm coming back, but see me there, where the orange tree blossoms and the sky smells white as the line-dried sheets. See me there, where jasmine, lemon sweets, wind and salt slicks the hair you wear into the breeze, where cactus fruit is suckling pear and its sweet hidden waters everywhere. I am home. Am gone, but I'll be back. Long time gone, but I'll be coming back. Camille Dungy.
Hi, I'm Tim McKenna. I'm the author of picture books like Bitty Bot, Jack B. Ninja, and Water Song, and I just had a new picture book come out in February called In a Garden with beautiful illustrations by Amy Securo. It's about how bugs and plants live together in a community garden, and much like the Bay Area Book Festival, it's about getting outside and being with people and appreciating the amazing world that we live in. I had the pleasure of participating in last year's Bay Area Book Festival. I was on a really fun panel discussion and did a music and story time with kids. It was an amazing day. So I was really looking forward to sharing In a Garden at this year's festival, and then things changed. But as crummy as it is, I know that this is just one challenging chapter in a much longer story. And if I've learned anything from a career in children's publishing, it's that revisions are inevitable, but they always make the story stronger. Now, as our collective story is being revised and rewritten, you can help get us to that final, satisfying chapter by supporting the Berkeley Relief Fund and the Bay Area Book Festival. There are people behind the scenes working really hard right now to keep the spirit of the festival going, even if it's not outside in a park this year. Okay, thanks for watching. Go read a book. Any book will do.
We have with us Amy Thomas, who is the owner of Pegasus Books, to tell us what she has been experiencing, what the situation is with independent bookstores in our community, and how you can order from Pegasus. So Amy, take it away.
Thank you, Sherilyn. On March 16th, we had to close all 3 of our stores, 2 of them in Berkeley and 1 in Oakland. We had to leave. We couldn't really do any more work since then, but we have been monitoring our online presence and selling books there. Thank you to the customers who have bought books from us. I can't tell you how big a deal that is for us. But, you know, it doesn't replace 3 busy stores. So we're in limbo right now. We're sort of all on furlough. Some people are doing some critical things. If they care to. Again, not at the store. We go to the store to feed the cat twice a day. We have a 17-year-old cat named Parrot. And so everything is pretty much in doubt. We were left, we've had a good year, so we had a small amount of reserves, and we're reserving that to sort of do financial triage with our staff for as long as we're able to do that until, I don't know, the cavalry comes.
Great. Tell us a little bit about Pegasus. I know there was just the anniversary.
We just had 50 years. We sell, new and used books. We've been trading in 3 locations forever. We have 34 staff. Mentions to a person. We are expecting and believe that when we can reopen, we will come roaring back. We hope to, anyway. We really feel the pain of not being able to go to work and do our thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's true across the country.
Yeah. Now, you are a book person for your entire career. Tell us
Yes.
really how you think books and reading can help sustain people during this time.
Well, they can relearn their attention skills. It's just marvelous. It's a time to go deep into things you care about deeply. You can do it all from your room. You can go anywhere in the world. You can do it in any language. You can read to your children. It's a complete oasis. For me, it's always been an oasis to have books around me and know that I could just go there. And also, everything gives you perspective on your life if you're really in hard times, right? So when you're reading poetry in grief, you hear the poetry in a different way. When you're reading books to relax your mind and to find somewhere else to go, it does that for you also.
Yeah. Anything in particular you're reading right now?
Well, I was super lucky. I got some books right on my desk the day before I had to go, and I'm reading Hilary Mantel.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Good long book. We have more time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I also got Andrea Camilleri's last book. He's the Sicilian mystery writer, and it was just super enjoyable.
That's
I'm reading cookbooks. I'm reading about Edna Lewis, a great Southern cook. Trying to cook some of her things. My mother and I are both bakers, so we've been making bread and planning meals for, the day when we get to shop more groceries. Again, books are very aspirational, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So people have been recommending books on this program, and of course they need to know, how can I get those books? So how can they order from Pegasus specifically?
You can go to our website, which is pegasusbookstore.com, with all the W's and everything, but pegasusbookstore.com. We have a very rich inventory from our main distributor. The books you order there will go directly to your home. We will not be opening boxes and mailing them on. They will go directly from the warehouse. We're helping a little bit with the shipping as much as we can. So that becomes an easier ask for people to buy from us. We also are the people who are facilitating those sales. It's not just, completely invisible. My staff are all involved. They see the order come through, they make sure it happens, and they can answer questions. So if you have questions about books, things you'd like to order, advice, perhaps, you can email us at any of the 3 stores. Our store addresses on the email are college@pegasusbookstore.com, Shattuck at pegasusbookstore.com, and Solano at pegasusbookstore.com. And we'll try to have someone back to you within about 48 hours, if not sooner.
That's fantastic. It's like, the role of an independent bookseller. You walk in and you say, I'm looking for a book like this, or I have this situation, or this person I want to buy for. And
Yes.
the booksellers really advise on that, which is something that you don't get in other situations of buying books. So you're replicating what an independent bookstore can do by offering advice via email.
We're doing our best. And, you know, this is, this staff really likes to sell books, and it's really, and so if we can, you know, find a way to do that until the danger is past, we're going to do it.
Yeah. So the Berkeley Relief Fund, which is what we're also here to talk about, you are one of the businesses that would potentially benefit from this fund, as would the Bay Area Book Festival. And Pegasus has been a stalwart partner with the Book Festival from the beginning, which we so much appreciate. And any words from you about the Berkeley Relief Fund or encouragement you might give to people?
Well, I am so moved that it got started. We would be grateful for any assistance until we're able to reopen the stores. And, you know, I would say just about it going to the relief, not only of my bookstore or other bookstores, but the other local businesses in the area, and I've come to know many of them through Buy Local Berkeley and through Oakland Grown, are wonderful caretakers of this kind of relief money. It will go where it is needed.
Yeah, yeah. So these
people are passionate. They want their businesses to be up and running again, and they care about where they are in their community.
Yeah. So the funds that go from the donors, we are asking for your support right now to the businesses will be really well used.
It will be welcome. It will be well used, and in some cases, it may save a business.
Hi, I'm Brian Weisfeld. I am the co-author of The Startup Squad, a novel series meant to get kids, mostly girls, interested in entrepreneurship, get them excited about opening up that first lemonade stand or bake sale, and teach them some basic business skills. It's been described as the Babysitter's Club meets Lean In. And this is the second book in the series called Face the Music. It's coming out on May 5th, and we were so excited to launch it at the Bay Area Book Festival, and sorry that we're not going to get to meet you then. But books right now are so important while we're in isolation. They are an escape. They're a great activity and also a great way to support your local independent bookstore. These are assets to so many communities, so please support your local independent bookstore. At the Startup Squad, one of the things that we feel strongly about is a great thing to do in isolation is work with your kids to help them plan a summer business. It's a great way to get them thinking beyond isolation, get them excited about the summer, and also to instill in them the importance of risk and failure and grit and determination and seeing opportunities instead of problems. On our website, thestartupsquad.com, we have a ton of activities and guides and things that you can do with your kids to help them start a summer business. To get you thinking about the types of businesses you can start, I want to tell you a bit about my favorite kid business of all time. There's a girl named Reese who lives in Tennessee who loves arts and crafts and also loves animals. She realized that when kids get finished playing with stuffed animals and they're tired of them, a lot of times they'll throw them away or give them away to charity. So she started a business called Wild and Wacky Pets. She collects these used stuffed animals and she washes them and cleans them and dries them off and makes them look good as new. And then she rips off their heads and sews them back on different bodies. This is one of her products. This is a Wild and Wacky Pet. Look, it's a pig head on a giraffe body. Hello, I'm a pig giraffe. How cool is that? So many different interesting businesses that your kids can start. Let their imaginations go wild. Think about the things that they're interested in. What are their passions and how can they turn it into a business? It's a great activity, and please support the Berkeley Relief Fund and the Bay Area Book Festival. We're so sorry to miss it this year, but we look forward to seeing it next year when we'll have the Startup Squad's third book in the series.
Hello, I'm here with Michael Pollan, who is the author of many books and longtime Berkeley resident. Many of Michael's books focus on wellness and food and mental states. Michael, can you tell us how you are surviving in this time, how you're keeping yourself healthy and somewhat happy?
Well, I have to say I'm not doing a lot of reading. I'm embarrassed to say I just don't have the focus for reading. I mean, I read student work a lot. I'm still teaching by Zoom, and I, I'll read a page or two of a book and fall asleep. But the way I'm staying sane is I have a couple tools. One is I'm meditating more rigorously than I ever have before, and I'm finding that very helpful. a fellow Berkeley resident, Will Kabat-Zinn, has a morning meditation at 7 a.m. On Zoom, which I think anyone who goes to his website could sign up to attend. It's open to everybody, and it's fantastic. And you feel like you're in the community, because when I hear the BART train go by, I can hear it also on wherever he is, and there are 100 of us sitting together, and that's been a lifesaver. I am cooking a lot, as most of us are, and that's been great. I have not enjoyed cooking as much, and my meals with Judith are the high point of the day, I think. And I've been baking a lot. I've been baking at least a couple loaves of bread a week. One I give away, and one we enjoy ourselves. And so, I guess those kind of activities are the most fulfilling. They don't exactly qualify under art and literature,
Yeah.
but it's funny. A lot of people have asked me, so is it a good time to trip during a pandemic? And I don't know exactly how to answer that. I'm sure for some people it's a great idea, but given the importance of set and setting, and this is a very weird set and setting, I would be reluctant myself. So I've kind of regressed to the book before the most recent, the book before How to Change Your Mind, which was cooked.
Right.
That's the one I have open, and I'm using the recipes, and maybe after enough weeks go by, I'll advance to How to Change Your Mind. But for now, it's cooking, baking, meditating.
Yeah. The gentle work, right?
And walking, of course.
And walking,
I mean,
right,
we're all still walking in Berkeley, and it's a wonderful thing to watch. Everyone is incredibly scrupulous about doing this new pedestrian dance. Who's going to move out into the street and who's going to stay on the sidewalk, and it's all very gentle and cooperative. And it's kind of where I'm getting my sense of community. And my sense is that this community is stronger than ever, and that the social fabric is holding at the moment. And you see that when people are out or lining up very scrupulously at the farmer's market at their 6-foot distances. So that, I take heart in seeing my neighbors.
Yeah. And how about, the Berkeley Relief Fund is aiming to support small businesses as well as arts organizations and tenants. Any particular small businesses that you miss right now that are closed?
The cheese board.
Oh, gosh, yes.
That was part of our morning ritual. Judith and I would, every morning that they were open, we'd walk down and we'd get a cup of coffee and take it home. And now we're brewing coffee, and which is fine, but I really miss the scene that was going on there. I really worry about the small businesses in town. They are being hit really hard. The restaurants, obviously. I know of companies that are probably not going to survive this, and I think we have to do what we can. Also, very small businesses, drivers, people in the gig economy, and that are not going to withstand this. And I get a steady paycheck from the university, and so I feel somewhat insulated. But this is the moment to do what we can for our neighbors. It's so important that this social fabric we have here not tear. And the best way we can prevent it is with our generosity, and supporting the bookstores, the restaurants, the cafes, the people who make a living driving, the gardeners, the landscapers, the construction workers, the handymen, and it's just, that's where I think we have to focus our efforts right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel really fortunate to be in Berkeley. I mean, a place where there is funding allocated from the city to these small businesses, and other organizations. And any words to your neighbors, your fellow Berkeleyans, about the Berkeley Relief Fund, or words in general?
Well, this is the moment to pitch in. A lot of people give their charitable donations in December, to get them in before the end of the tax year. This year, we should all be doing it right now. Whatever you were thinking of giving at the end of the year, Whether you want to support the homeless or food banks, whatever that social service organization, now is the time. And now that Berkeley is itself, the city is conducting these kind of efforts, this Berkeley Relief Fund is a really good way to channel your money toward people and get it there really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Hang
Thank
in
you,
there.
Carolyn.
What's for dinner tonight?
We were just talking about it.
Yeah.
We have some. There was, a CSA box that Chez Panisse did last Sunday. I'm hoping they'll do it again, and we have some vegetables from that we're going to roast over farro with in the garden. And we're starting to get. I mean, the other thing I didn't mention is gardening is really important right now, and I'm actually ripping out flowers to put in more vegetables because I think this is going to last a while. The challenge is getting seedlings, because most of the nurseries are closed. But if you notice, if you go to some supermarkets, they have tomato starts and things like that outside, so that's one place to get them. Otherwise, I placed a large order of seeds, so I'm going to start my own seedlings. Mail order. Yeah. Right. So so it's going to be roast vegetables over farro tonight with herbs.
Sounds fantastic. Well, enjoy. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. All right, take care.
Hi, I'm here with TJ Stiles, who is a two-time Pulitzer Prize winning historian who has lived in Berkeley for a long time. Yeah, TJ?
Yeah, since 2013. So not as long as many. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's my permanent home.
Great. So as a historian, can you recall any time in history that is perhaps instructive or relevant or similar to what we're going through now?
You'd have to go back to the Middle Ages to really get a feel for what is going on from a historical example. In U.S. history, there's simply no comparison. The way in which we've had to completely lock down as a nation, and also, quite frankly, the absence of leadership from the presidency is extraordinary. I mean, really, everything has to come from the grassroots up, from lower level public officials. We're very fortunate in the Bay Area that local officials and our state government responded faster than basically anywhere else in the U.S. But the leadership really has come from below, and considering the unprecedented nature of this health emergency, that in itself is quite extraordinary.
Yeah. You're working on a book now of presidential history, right?
That's right. I'm doing a biography of Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay. Yeah. So what historical figures come into mind as having been exemplary leaders in crisis?
Well, the obvious examples come to mind. Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt's a good example. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is a great example. In my work on Theodore Roosevelt, one of the key things I'm looking at is how we develop the idea of a professional, nonpartisan federal civil service. In other words, how do we get experts, people who are not simply political appointees, to actually staff the government? And so at this moment, as a participant in this moment in history, it strikes me that this emergency has hit during an administration that has not only devalued the expertise in the federal civil service, but has in many ways attacked it. And I think we've seen the pandemic get worse as a result. So it's very disturbing to see this long, hard-fought struggle to build up expert civil servants, nonpartisan professionals in our federal government, and to see all of that under assault at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are fortunate to live in California, and
it helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts on the Berkeley Relief Fund? I mean, as a Berkeley resident.
Well, again, we have to pull together as a community. All the help is not going to come from above. And so at this moment, it's absolutely essential that we pull together for the Berkeley Relief Fund, and that we also maintain our local community organizations and institutions, including the book festival. I think that's very important. It's going to be back at some point. and that we pull together to help our neighbors. We have made donations as best we can. My income has been hit. A lot of people have taken a hit, and yet we have to pull together as much as we can. So the relief fund, I think, is absolutely essential.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and stay safe in your book-filled your book-filled office there, of course.
It's getting messier by the moment, actually.
Everyone's is. That's right. Well, thank you again, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Hello, my name is Ian Lindlar. I'm a writer. I write picture books and graphic novels. You may know me from writing books like The Stratford Zoo Presents Macbeth and The Stratford Zoo Presents Romeo and Juliet. I've also written a lot of other books. For instance, The Odyssey by Homer. That says by Homer, but it's by me. It's called The Odyssey by Homer by Ian Lindlar. I've also written other things like The Lord of the Rings. You may like this one. They use my author photo for this particular photo. You can see the self-quarantine has done terrible things to my hair. Used to look like this, and now it's kind of turned into this. Unfortunately, because of quarantine and that coronavirus, the Berkeley Book Festival is not going on when it normally will, but it will happen. And I was due to present some of my newest books, like The First Dinosaur, where I talk about the history of the discovery of dinosaurs, and The Fabled Life of Aesop, which is about the history of Aesop the storyteller, who created all of Aesop's fables. Sadly, that won't be happening till later, so please support the Berkeley Relief Fund and the Berkeley Book Festival. A lot of people are hurting right now, and you can really help out a lot if you help them. But they've asked me to just come on and talk about what helps during this time in quarantine. My family and my kids at their school, they have a thing called DEAR time, DEAR, drop everything and read. Just for half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, depending on what you like, just to, get off screens and read for a little while. It really helps quiet things down a little bit, and it helps you pause and think. And if you enjoy doing that, let me recommend some of my other books that I've written. For instance, the Bhagavad Gita. That was just a little thing I tossed off over a weekend one time. I wrote Misery. That was a good one. Again, it says Misery by Stephen King, but that's actually the title. The Misery by Stephen King by Ian Lindlar. Harry Potter, of course I wrote that, let's see what else. Oh, Confederacy Dunces. I liked that one quite a bit. The Complete Works of Edgar Allan Poe. Again, by Ian Lindlar. I really think some of these, try them out. You might like them. And if any of those appeal to you, feel free to write me. And when the Berkeley Book Festival comes back better than ever later in the fall, knock on wood, I will see you then. Bye.
Hi, I'm Michael Holman. In addition to being a proud Berkeley resident, I'm the director of the Center for the Art of Translation and publisher of Two Lines Press, based here in the Bay Area. I've been involved with the Bay Area Book Festival since its inception, and I consider it a personal and professional privilege to work with Sherilyn Parsons and her staff. It's an organization that's close to my heart. The Bay Area Book Festival is a cultural asset, the sort of community gathering that every great city should have. And it's the sort of gathering I think we're all longing for right now. My work is dedicated to celebrating new, overlooked, and underrepresented voices from all over the world at what I consider a bewildering historical moment that we're sharing. I find literature, particularly literature and translation, to be profoundly consoling. It's a way of finding solidarity in our solitude. Had this year's Bay Area Book Festival been possible, the Center and Two Lines Press were going to host Mexican author Ximena Barrera, whose book On Lighthouses, translated by Christina McSweeney, is forthcoming this May. It's a lovely, meditative book, guiding selfless light, that explores the allure of loneliness and asks how we use it to create meaning. In Ximena's words, lighthouses speak in that primordial language of flame, and their message is, first and foremost, that human beings are here. You can pre-order On Lighthouses from your local independent bookstore, and I hope you get the opportunity to meet Hasmina when we're on the other side of all of this. This is a hard time for everyone, especially small businesses and our community's treasured arts institutions. For organizations like the Bay Area Book Festival that devote great thought and care and imagination to hosting enriching events, the effects have been staggering. With that in mind, I hope you'll join me in supporting the Berkeley Relief Fund and the Bay Area Book Festival. And I look forward to gathering together once more to share some lively literary talk and experiences that give our lives meaning.
I'm here with Bee Dong, who is the owner of Eastwind Books in Berkeley. Been involved in the festival from the beginning. Bee, welcome, and can you tell us a little bit about the bookstore and how you are surviving or attempting to survive these days?
Oh, okay. Well, first I wanted to thank the City of Berkeley for doing this Berkeley Relief Fund, because it's going to be really helpful for all the small businesses and residents in Berkeley. Yeah, so we were pretty caught by surprise when Alameda County told everybody to shutter their stores and everybody's shelter in place. So we did have to, unfortunately, like that kind of put a lot of our staff out of work. So what we're trying to do is keep the bookstore going by doing online book sales, and we're going to put together, our staff is helping me put together a book club, and we're going to continue our community events, but doing it on the web and doing it online. Well, we've been around in Berkeley for 20 years now on University Avenue. We're located right next to Goodwill near University Avenue in Shattuck. And let's see, our specialty is Asian American and ethnic studies books and literature. We have cookbooks, children's books, history, and poetry. The whole gamut of the culture and authors that are out there available. We act as a community resource so that people can find these hard to find books and authors. Even though we're all isolated in our private spaces, reading right now is a really great opportunity to expand our worlds. And, you know, every time I read a book, it's like you expand your imagination and your knowledge about the world itself. And just looking at the books that our customers have been ordering during this sheltering has been really fun for us too, because a lot of customers have been ordering Asian American and foreign translated science fiction books, and also literature and graphic novels. So it's a great way for people to you know, find time to spend doing a reading.
Yeah. What are you reading for? I keep coming back to that word solace, but what are you reading to help yourself during this time?
Oh, right now I'm reading On Earth, 𝑊𝑒'𝑟𝑒 Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong.
Yes.
This book is so great. Just like kind of in tears, the first chapter. But we're going to do a book club on this book, and it's going to be launched this Saturday.
That's fantastic. So,
yeah, people check out our website and you can join the book club too.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share with the Berkeley community about just how to get through this crisis?
Oh, well, I really want to give a shout out and a thank to all the healthcare workers, and the people in the California that have been really pulling together to help each other. Even though, like, the White House has tried to racialize the virus, we can look to our, neighbors and our people, immigrant workers, and that have been helping and really being on the front line to help save people's lives. So we really want to give a shout out to everybody. And then the other thing is, that just it's good to really appreciate each other right now, and appreciate what we can do to help.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you and all you've done. And I just want to put out the call to support the Berkeley Relief Fund, because it will help small businesses like Eastwind Books and the Bay Area Book Festival, which has partnered with Eastwind for years. They have supplied books for our speakers and really have been a vital partner. So thank you.
And then if anybody wants to find our website, it's kind of easy to find. It's called asiabookcenter.com.
Hi, my name is CatoeShaughnessy, and I am a local Berkeley author, and I am the author of the middle grade novel, The Lonely Heart of Maybelle Lane, which came out earlier this month. I think times are tough right now for obvious reasons, and I think that reading is more important than ever. So I wanted to give you some recommendations, some middle grade recommendations that you can read with your kids or have your kids read on their own that I think would be really, really great reads right now. The first recommendation I have is Stand Up Yumi Chung, because it's really funny. I think that funny books are always mood boosters, but I think in these times, something that will really lift your spirits and make you laugh is sort of more important than ever. So definitely check that one out. The next book is How to Make Friends with the Sea. And I think that this one is a great read right now because it deals with childhood anxiety. And I think everybody's anxiety levels are probably heightened right now. And I think this would be a great way, a great conversation starter of talking with your kids about their feelings, given everything that's happening. And then I also recommend my book because it is a road trip. And given the fact that none of us can travel, being able to travel through books is something that we should take advantage of. So if you want to travel from Louisiana to Nashville for a singing competition, I hope you'll check this out. In terms of when and how to read with your kids and how to sort of maybe turn it into more of a discussion, lots of authors have either educator guides or discussion guides up on their websites for their books, which have a lot of fantastic questions and activities. For me, I know that I'm getting one together to put up next week that has a lot of, discussion guides and vocabulary and other fun things like crossword puzzles and things like that go along with the story. So often if you read a book with your child and then want a little bit more, if you just Google the book title name and a discussion guide, often things will pop up. I also really suggest to parents to read to their kids before bed. If you aren't already, now is a really great time to start. My mom did it for my brother and I when my sister was really little, and it just remains one of the more comforting memories that I have. My mom would often read books a little bit above my level because my brother's older, and I think that that's also a great strategy to do with your kids, because I would stop her constantly to ask questions about vocabulary words and what things meant, and it would often just turn into a discussion based on the fact that it was a little bit above my level. So, books are really, really comforting to me. I think obviously I'm an author. I find a lot of solace and joy in books, and I think that a lot of readers could be made in this period. So I hope that you'll check out one of the book recommendations that I gave, or just any books in general. I think if you could support your local independent bookstore, a lot of them are still doing curbside pickups and online orders and things like that. And there's also a great organization called bookshop.org where you can support independent bookstores broadly or choose one that you'd rather focus on. And that I also hope that you'll support the Bay Area Book Festival as well as the Berkeley Relief Fund. So happy reading to all, and bye.
So my name is Suzanne Rebecca, and I'm the festival writer and development manager at the Bay Area Book Festival. And one thing that I've been working on a lot lately since the cancellation of the 2020 annual event and since the virtual programming that we've been planning in place of it is the festival's newsletter, which is a sort of cornucopia of literary delights, if you will, author interviews, author profiles, literary links, book recommendations, book reviews, just a lot of content that we're going to be bringing to you 3 times a month now instead of 1. for as long as the situation lasts. So you can get something in your inbox that's going to be a source of stimulation, hopefully a source of inspiration, and that will sort of help you navigate this tough time. And to subscribe to the newsletter, you can go to our website at baybookfest.org and just click on the little subscribe button. And that being said, I'm also doing a lot of reading right now, as I think we probably all are, and every spare minute we can get to kind of squeeze it in. And the book that I've been reading is one I've read about 15 times over the years. It's Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood, and I have it here. And this one is really resonating with me lately, partly because it's a story about isolation. It's a story about a young woman who's imprisoned in the Kingston Penitentiary for a crime that she may or may not have committed. And the whole book is sort of a excavation of her psychology so that the reader can kind of decide, did she commit this crime? Did she not? But it's really hitting home for me a lot right now, particularly because of one passage, which I'll read now. And it sort of speaks for itself, so I won't give too much preamble, but here it is. When you're in the middle of a story, it isn't a story at all, but only a confusion, a dark roaring, a blindness, a wreckage of shattered glass and splintered wood, like a house in a whirlwind or a boat crushed by icebergs or swept over the rapids, and all aboard powerless to stop it. It's only afterwards that it becomes anything like a story at all, when you are telling it to yourself or someone else. And I think that really hit home because we're all in this situation where we're sort of sheltering in place and static, but at the same time, we're kind of being carried along by this story that we're all a part of collectively, but that we all have very little power in sort of conceptualizing or attaching a narrative to. So that brought me a little bit of just a feeling of feeling validated and recognized, and that sort of feeling that we all seek when we read something, that somebody sees us, that somebody gets it, that somebody knows what it's like to feel the way that we feel right now, no matter how singular that feeling might feel to us. So that's what's been giving me some solace right now.
Hi, I'm Cara Black, and this is my latest book. It comes out in 2 weeks, 3 Hours in Paris, and it has a delicious map on the inside. I hope you can see 1940s Paris. My book tour was canceled, and many other authors' tours were canceled. And so all I can say is that my day job is working at home. And it's really interesting that when I'm not supposed to go out, that I want to go out. But that's the biggest issue I'm facing. I'm working on a book, and I've got a deadline, and I'm really sorry that the Bay Area Book Festival is put off. But of course, that's so everybody can stay safe. And we'll do it next year, I hope. And I hope all of you are sheltering in place well and reading incredible books from your to-be-read pile. I've been reading a lot. I'm just started the new book by Teresa Ann Fowler, and I'm really excited. And I'm catching up on some Scottish mysteries I enjoy a lot. I don't want to do this for a long time because it's hard to send this when I have so much. So I'm just going to read a few lines of a poem by John Keats. He was a romantic poet who died in the early 1800s. But what makes me think of John Keats, and because he was found out he was tubercular, his dream was to go to Rome, and he went to Rome, and he died in Rome and followed his dream. But he was quarantined in the Bay of Naples on the boat for 10 days because there was a typhoid plague. So I think a lot about him now that he was quarantined. Actually, it was only 10 days, but anyway, this is called Bright Star. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor, hung aloft the night, and watching with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task. Stay well, read a lot.
So in seclusion, I've been reading from this wonderful book, The Rock by Wallace Stevens. It was his last book of poems, and it was published as part of a collected poems at the end of his life. It was never published as a single book, and it's just been issued for the first time as a book. These are poems he wrote between about the age of 73 and 75, poems of a kind of stripped down world. They're wintry in their feeling. One of them is called The Planet on the Table. He calls himself Ariel, the poet. The Planet on the Table. Ariel was glad he had written his poems. They were of a remembered time or something seen that he liked. Other makings of the sun were waste and welter, and the ripe shrub writhed. His self and the sun were one, and his poems, although makings of his self, were no less makings of the sun. It was not important that they survive. What mattered was that they should bear some lineament or character, some affluence, if only half perceived, in the poverty of their words, of the planet of which they were a part. So this is one of the very last poems of Wallace Stevens, last that he published. It's called The River of Rivers in Connecticut. There is a great river this side of Stygia before one comes to the first black cataracts in trees that lack the intelligence of trees. In that river, far this side of Stygia, the mere flowing of the water is a gaiety, flashing and flashing in the sun. On its banks, no shadow walks. The river is fateful like the last one, but there is no ferryman. He cannot bend against the propelling force. It's not to be seen beneath the appearances that tell of it. The steeple at Farmington stands glistening, and Haddam shines and sways. It is the third commonness with light and air, a curriculum, a vigor, a local abstraction. Call it, once more, a river, an unnamed flowing, space-filled, reflecting the seasons, the folklore of each of the senses. Call it, again and again, the river that flows nowhere, like a sea.
I want to give you an example of an organization that has been affected by the Berkeley Relief, or by the COVID-19 crisis, and one that the Berkeley Relief Fund, I believe, will be able to help, like many arts organizations. The Bay Area Book Festival, some of you know, had to cancel. We were scheduled to have the event take place on May 2nd and 3rd in downtown Berkeley. We had 265 top authors from here and around the world scheduled to appear in like 130 different programs. Literally the entire thing was ready to go up to our website. It was supposed to launch on March 20th, and we, instead of pressing the load button, had to press the cancel button, and we were just devastated, while at the same time knowing that the top priority was to protect public health. In the aftermath of that, I've had to lay people off, which has been devastating to them more than me, but to everyone. Many arts organizations are in the same situation. We lost a lot of revenue by not being able to produce the physical festival, a lot more than we saved. We could have just basically gone into hibernation for the summer until the fall when we start to plan next year's festival. But we really felt a sense of wanting to bring our community some of the literary programming, especially that which is most relevant in times like this. We also wanted to support the authors and whose book tours are canceled, in all cases when it's a new book, and really just contribute back. So what we've done is we've pivoted, and the staff that are remaining are now producing some online programs, which you will see launching in mid to late April. Yes, mid to late April. And we're focusing on programs that are most relevant, such as voting rights, which was a centerpiece of the last festival, the festival that was supposed to happen, and wellness programs. For instance, we've just confirmed a program to appear online with some leading psychologists and on parenting in an age of anxiety. It's just one example. And we also will have some just straight up sheer literary programming. For instance, we just confirmed Queens of Mystery, a conversation between Meg Gardner and Rachel Housel Hall. So everything from voting to wellness to a little bit of escapism is what you're going to see from the book festival coming up.
Hi, my name is Arlie Hochschild. I hope you're safe and cozied down with a book. I'm a writer, live in Berkeley, and my latest book is this one, Strangers in Their Own Land, Anger and Mourning on the American Right. And actually, I've been in touch with some of the people that I came to describe. These are people, big Trump supporters in Louisiana, around the petrochemical center of industry. And I asked them, how are you taking the coronavirus? And some of them were, as described in the book, kind of stoical about it. Well, we've, had bad news before, we can handle it. Others were highly religious, God will provide. So all of this really takes us into the experience, the sensibility of another person as they confront something frightening or dangerous. And all books do that. And so that's what we should be using our time now to make those leaps, cross those empathy bridges into other people's experiences. It makes us all larger. And I think that's the purpose behind the Bay Area Book Festival and the Relief Fund, which I hope you support.
Hi, I'm Adam Hochschild. I'm a writer. I live in Berkeley. Here's the most recent book that I've written. And I just wanted to urge all of you in this very strange time we're living through to stay safe, stay home, and read good books. Also, do everything you can to support the Berkeley Relief Fund and the Bay Area Book Festival. I've been an enthusiastic supporter of the book festival ever since it began. It's a wonderful institution. It's a world-class festival. It's under particular hardship right now because it's having to be moved all online, and it needs our support, as do all arts organizations here in Berkeley. This is a tough time for bookstores, for art galleries, and much more. Stay safe.
Hi, my name is Inosanto Nagara, and I'm the author and illustrator of a bunch of children's books. My first book was called A is for Activist, and then I wrote Counting on Community, My Night in the Planetarium, The Wedding Portrait, and my latest one is called M is for Movement. All my books are in some way or another about social change, about how when we are confronted with bad things in life, when things are not perfect, when we live in a world where bad things happen, what are we going to do about it? Do we find ourselves just balled up in a corner, afraid, not able to do anything? Or do we go out and try to build community and build power together and try to make a difference? So we're in kind of different times right now. I was gonna show you a little bit from my book, My Night in the Planetarium, which is a true story from my life about how when I was a kid, I lived under a military dictatorship in Indonesia, and that was the dictator there. And my father was a poet and playwright who ended up writing a play that was criticizing the dictator, and then ended up having to run away and hide from the dictator. And eventually, after he was able to come back, and there were over many years there were student movements, people eventually overthrew the dictatorship. And the reason why I'm telling you this story, or that I shared this one, was because I think, especially for kids, the idea that bad things happen is often hidden from them. People don't want to talk to their kids about whether or not, it's possible that human rights abuses exist, or that police brutality, or that, in the case right now, people don't know how to talk to their kids about things like this COVID-19 virus. And what I've found, talking to kids about all these really bad things that have happened in the world, and yet people have organized and working together have found ways to overcome, that kids are actually, this is a cliche, but they really are much more able to understand and take in, and are going to be much more able to make good decisions about their own participation in this world that we live in, their future, if we show them the respect and give them the information that they need in order to be able to better understand the world. By keeping kids in the dark, by trying to talk around things, by not admitting that sometimes bad things happen, when bad things do happen, as they will, or if they hear about it from other people, or they watch it on TV, they're going to build up things the way any one of us would, to be even worse than they are, and feel even more incapacitated. So while my books are not specifically about the kind of times that we live in right now, I hope that in some ways people will take the idea of talking to your kids, sharing with them, really sitting down with them, using books, stories as metaphors, but also to be direct in what you are communicating with those kids, because they have questions and often they feel like they're not even allowed to ask them. So that's my 2 cents.
Hey, this is Adam Mansback. In times of great stress, like most people, I turn to writing obscene poetry. So by the time you see this, Samuel L. Jackson will have performed it on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, but this is a little joint called Stay the F*** at Home. The Rona is spreading. This shit is no joke. It's no time to work or to roam. The way you can fight it is simple, my dude. Just stay the fuck at home. Now, technically, I'm not a doctor. Listen when I read a poem. So here I am, Sam Jackson. You'll note that I'm not actually Sam Jackson, but I wrote this for him, imploring you, keep your ass home. If you want things to get back to normal, don't panic. Just use your dome. Wash your hands, stop touching your face, and stay the fuck at home. It's no time to gamble. Look around. You're not at a casino. Just stay the fuck home as if your name was Trenton Quarantino. Sure, you can still see your friends. Use an app on your phone. But unless you just ran out of groceries, please stay the fuck at home. Thank you for doing your part to flatten the curve, because that shit is steep. And now that you're home, feel free to go the fuck to sleep. Berkeley Relief Fund, I'm out.
I'm here with poet Tess Taylor. And Tess, can you tell us a little bit about your work, and particularly one of your latest books, which has huge relevance to the time today?
Well, I'm a working poet and a critic. I do book reviews for National Public Radio's All Things Considered, so maybe you've met me that way. But I'm also a Berkeley person. I went to Berkeley High. And one of my amazing opportunities that I had this past year was to do a project where I followed the path of Dorothea Lange through California. And I spent years in the Oakland Museum archive reading her notebooks that she took while she traveled around during the Great Depression, photographing migrant laborers, and later the notes that she took when she photographed the process of Japanese internment, where people were displaced to those camps. And so I fell in love with her language. Everyone's in love with her photographs because they're amazing, but she was also a really tremendous note taker. And when I started reading the notebooks, I thought, I want to go everywhere she went and just listen and look the way that she did. So one of the things that happened this February was I published this book. It's called Last West. And those are some of her words about people arriving in California, that they came to the Last West. And then, of course, the reason that we're all sort of having this Zoom experience is because we've been plunged into this new precarious moment. I think a lot of people are thinking about how close we all live to the brink. And, you know, Dorothea Lange was photographing people at the brink in a way.
Tell me about how, you said something earlier about how her work speaks especially to the moment that we're in.
So it isn't exactly that everything is the same, but it's really hard not to remember Dorothea Lange driving miles and miles across California, photographing migrant laborers who lived in tents. I mean, her photo rolls are tent after tent after tent. And of course, the tents that we see most often are in Berkeley and San Francisco, the camps that we drive past and through sometimes. And, you know, my own route of taking my children to school by bicycle goes through all of the trailers on Gilman. So I was thinking about her and thinking, gosh, what would she think if she were here now? She wouldn't have to drive anywhere to find tents. They're just here. And what would she make of looking at this crisis that we're in when 28,000 people are in the Bay Area alone without shelter every night? And so for me, just thinking that she had tried to bear witness to some of that from Berkeley, you know, she lived on Virginia first, and then she lived on Euclid. And from there, she would drive out, you know, week after week after week, trying to make sense of what it meant to get a fair wage, what it meant to do a day's work, what, you know, what was going on for people who were living kind of hand to mouth in those years. And I want to just read, it's a cycle of a year driving around these roads. And there's just this poem at the end where I'm talking back to Dorothea Lange after having taken this journey for the year. Dear Dorothea, I wrote all year at rest stops, on roadsides, at gas stations, in sweltering dust beside the Glide Church near your old studio, and beneath pesticide-sprayed walnut leaves near the Sunsweet dryers, and so many tents. In a bungalow where lawyers defend caged children, also one summer morning when Stage and Sticky Monkey met the soft fog off the sea, at labor camps reclaimed by crabgrass and amid evicted stoves, near rice paddies of Knight's Landing, near Esparto where sunflowers sank into their black hulls, at Codornices Creek behind the brown shingle you came home to, saw one yellow finch, thought again about the body, how to house the fragile human in labor, dreams, and rest.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really lovely to talk to you, Sherilyn. And may the Bay Area Book Festival be back in force next year.
Thank you. We are one of the many organizations in Berkeley that are hoping, pleading, praying for support from the Berkeley Relief Fund and everyone else. So if you go to berkeleyrelieffund.org, that's where you can give. And I want to thank you. I want to thank Dorothea Lange. I want to thank our cultural sector and all the wonderful many artists in our community. I mean, Tess, it's people like you who really make this community vibrant. So thank you for your work. And everyone, please join us in supporting the kind of work that Tess does and that cultural organizations in our region, in our city, are working to preserve. So thank you all. Thank you, Tess.